So today I want to talk about simplicity. Simplicity when it comes to your manifestation, because I know that I am the kind of coach, I say it all the time, I am the kind of coach that wants to give you depth and nuance to the manifestation process. But I also realize that sometimes with all the nuance and all the different paradoxes we talk about, we can actually confuse ourselves and then make manifestation more confusing than it actually is. And really the process of manifestation is quite simple. And the more you keep it really simple, the more you keep your relationship to your manifestation quite simple, the better it's going to work. On this channel, I go into the nuances because there's a lot of different questions that can come up for people at different times. And so honestly, not every video on this channel is for everyone. I try to address specific issues that again come up at certain times for certain people in certain circumstances, and that's what this addressing the nuance is all about. But I want to get back to just like the high level, the big picture, like simplistic, what are we really doing here to manifest? And I actually have a success story for you guys to share today that really highlights the importance of simplicity. So we'll get deeper into what I even mean by simplicity and keep it simple, because even that could be confusing. So we'll get deeper into that. But first, before we do, I will introduce myself to any of you who maybe you're new to this channel. My name is Genevieve and I'm a manifestation coach. And as I stated earlier, I'm the kind of coach that wants to give you depth, give you answers, because I do know that when you really feel like you understand the whole manifestation process, your ego relaxes and then you're hopefully able to sink deeper into the embodiment of really having what you want. So I'm the kind of coach here to try to answer all the questions and all the nuances, all the paradoxes of this stuff. But again, the focus of the video today is simplicity, so we're going to stick to that. If you like my style of coaching, if you want to work with me one-on-one, you can book a session with me. I also have courses available. If you would like to do a course, they're all listed below if you want to start those today. Or you can join the membership portion of my channel. You can join the group coaching session that I do every month. There are lots of different ways and levels to work with me. So check out all of that stuff in the description below. But now let's talk about simplicity and this success story I have for you. So first of all, part of the reason I'm even making this video today is almost a reaction to myself because I published a few days ago a video about inspired action and how to know when to take it and how to know when not to take it. And after I published that video and saw the reaction from some of you, so a lot of you it was super, super helpful to, and of course that was the goal, but to some of you, it almost confused you even more. And I totally get that. This is why we say in manifestation world to, kind of leave the 3D alone. Like you can ignore it, although ignore does not mean avoid the 3D. Of course, you hear me say that all the time if you listen to me. But whenever we talk about the 3D, especially about inspired action, it's easy to overthink everything again, because the 3D reality is where the ego's domain is the 3D reality. And when we try to put the ego back in charge in terms of like deciding what to do, what not to do, we instantly can spiral ourselves just into overthinking and overanalyzing. And that is exactly what we should not be doing as manifestors. So again, as a reaction to myself from the last video I made, I wanted to bring it home for you guys again in like, let's get back to the basics of how simple this is and not get caught up in overthinking inspired action, overthinking 3D circumstances. Like we cannot let ourselves get too caught up in anything 3D, because remember the 3D reality, it follows behind us. It's not really that important. Even the quote unquote results of your manifestation are not really that important because they're just an after effect of the genuine shift you made in your energy. You are the manifestation. The 3D reality simply reflects that as an after effect afterwards. That's why we can't go into giving the 3D power. We can't go into overthinking the 3D. We've got to keep it simple and keep all of this about what relationship am I having with myself right now? What am I feeling and thinking and knowing when it comes to my manifestation, or when it comes to myself in relation to my manifestation? That should be your true and only barometer, honestly, for how well the manifestation is going. A lot of you also, when you first get into manifestation, you're so used to looking at the 3D reality to prove to you if the manifestation is working or not, or how well is it going by looking at the 3D to see what it's doing. And that's not ever your barometer for how well the manifestation is going. Your only, again, barometer for how well this is going for you is how are you staying consistent in your energy? How are you showing up for yourself every day? How are you really feeling and knowing about this thing? And if you're feeling and knowing good, you're feeling good things, you're knowing good things, then the manifestation is freaking working. It doesn't matter what the 3D is doing, because the 3D will also often do really weird stuff when you're manifesting. It will often kind of fall apart sometimes for a lot of people. It will purge a lot as things start to move for you. That's so incredibly normal, because things have to fall away before the new manifestation can come in. So it's really normal. A lot of people have this, where things start to look worse or more chaotic in their 3D before things get better. So you can't look at the 3D as your judge or your barometer for how well you're doing, because the 3D, it's gonna do weird stuff as it catches up to you. Okay, that wasn't really even, again, like my plan to talk about. That was an important tangent, I guess. But let's get into the success story, because this will highlight what I'm talking about when it comes to simplicity, keeping your practice simple, keeping your relationship to your manifestation simple. And the story is gonna be great for a lot of you, because this client of mine, she is such a good example of a lot of clients of mine, because I tend to attract clients who are amazing. They're super, super smart. They're super, super self-aware. They usually know all the things that are wrong with them. They're into therapy. They're high level intellectual people are my clients. Awesome, awesome people. But often, because that's how I am, I get it. Often we intellectual people can overthink things. We can accidentally overcomplicate things, because we're just so in our heads trying to figure things out and look at it up from too many angles, and we're forgetting to keep it simple. So this client, she was very much like that. She was manifesting a specific person, as I know a lot of you are. A lot of you are not, and that's okay too. There's no judgment for whether or not you got a specific person or no specific person. We're all just manifesting what's best for us. But this client, she had an SP, and she had been manifesting her SP at this point for, I think, a long time, probably 2-ish years. And I had been working with her for a while, at least 6 months, and she wasn't really shifting states, because whenever I would have a call with her, again, she was just really in her head. She always had a lot of questions that were very heady, very intellectual. And it was almost like she was using her intellectualism as a way to not just accept, just not accept that it's done, and that it's just simple. It's just done. There's nothing to think about. There's no question, no intellectual answer that you need. You just need to accept that it's done. So for 6 months, we were just having a lot of conversations about a lot of just intellectual questions and going into it. But something really shifted for her at 6 months. And honestly, what was the catalyst for this shift was actually some pain. And this is why also your own pain, your own triggers can often be leading you to get into the wish fulfilled. And that's honestly a different video, honestly. But you've probably heard me talk about that before, that your triggers are a gift. So she had kind of gotten burned again by the 3D. And that was enough. Her getting triggered again by the 3D was enough for her to just say, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to keep this really simple. I'm just going to do what Genevieve says, and I'm just going to do these affirmations. And I'm also not going to care so much about this. Because this is ironically another part of what I mean. When I say keep it simple, you also have to keep the manifestation itself very simple, not a big deal. Because for her in her situation, when she felt burned again by the 3D, it kind of helped her to detach a little bit. Okay, I don't need to be so obsessed with this guy. I don't need to be so worried about this guy, because obviously me being worried about this guy, her SP, for so long has done nothing but keep her in dependency. It's kept her more vulnerable to being hurt by the 3D circumstances. And it's that pain finally made her realize, okay, I've just got to do what I got to do, affirm or focus on my technique, and I also really need to not care so much about this. I got to keep it simple and just be whatever, I'm just going to affirm for this guy, and if he comes through, that's cool. If he doesn't, that's cool. Honestly, that is the attitude I want a lot of you to have, where you've got to let go of your dependency on whatever it is you're manifesting. Because for a lot of you, especially when it comes to specific people, you're so obsessed with this person, you're so dependent on that person for your sense of identity and happiness, that's why they don't come through for you. You've made them too important. You've made them too big of a big deal, and therefore you've given them a lot of power against you. And of course, because of the power dynamic that you created, of course they're not going to do what you want them to do. So part of, in her story, coming back to simplicity, was doing her practice every day in a very simple, consistent way, but then also keeping him simple, like the idea of him, just like, whatever. He's just a guy. He's not that cool. I'm not going to let him like hurt me with whatever weird circumstance. He's just a guy. If he comes back, cool. If he doesn't, cool. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep this more emotionally neutral, detached, and keep the focus just on, my joy and fulfillment. So she finally got to the place where she was really able to do that. And when I say she kept it simple, we had very simple affirmations that I was having her focus on. And she just did those affirmations every day. She didn't feel super, what is the word I'm looking for? She didn't feel like super like, oh my gosh, over the moon in her affirmations, because that's also a thing that I've talked about. You've probably heard other people talk about that. Often when you're affirming, it's not so much about feeling like over the top joy when you're saying these affirmations to yourself. It's just that you are lightly accepting them. Like you're just saying this thought, you're like, yeah, okay. You're just kind of surrendered to accepting it. So she was doing that. She was just kind of lightly but consistently repeating her affirmations. And what was so cool is, again, remember, she had been, I think, broken up from this guy for like 2 years. Obviously, he was an ex. She was calling back in, and nothing was really happening between them. Like there was very hot and cold communication between them, but he was very kind of, he's avoidant or whatever. And all of a sudden, also, they lived in different parts of the country, so he wasn't local to her. But all of a sudden, after about, I think it was only 2 weeks, like only 2 weeks of her really just kind of being in this new, simple but consistent state, he just out of the blue decided to book a plane ticket to come see her. And he had never done that before. Most of their relationship, even I think when they first met, was all about, she was kind of chasing him. Like from the get-go, she liked him, she wanted him, she was chasing him, she was pursuing him, and he never like took random initiative to do anything towards her because she had been enabling him, like she was going to always go to him. So it was so crazy that out of the blue, he just booked a flight, he came out and stayed with her, they had a really great weekend together, and it was so funny because she was so shocked, like, wow, I've been doing this for 2 years, and when I finally just let go of the overthinking and the overanalyzing and thinking that I needed to figure out like all of these pieces before I could accept that it was done, when I finally just was like, yep, I'm just gonna do this, whatever happens, happens, but I'm gonna just be consistent and every day just affirm this. But I'm also gonna be a lot more detached, because remember we talked about part of the simplicity is being detached from this person. Detached, but also just simply accepting, like, yep, this affirmation's true, and then boom, magic happens. So please let this success story be a reminder to you that this can be extremely simple. And for a lot of you, the only reason that you, like my client, are taking maybe years and years to manifest what you're wanting to manifest is because you keep making it so complicated in your head. And I hope that my nuanced videos aren't feeding into how complicated you're making it, because I know that sometimes it can. That's why I said earlier that not every video is going to be for you. Sometimes I'm going to address a topic or a thing that just simply doesn't apply to you, and that's fine. Part of you being the operant power of your reality is knowing when I have a video that's actually helpful for you, that's addressing something, it's a good reminder for you or just a lesson for you. Or also knowing, like, when I post something, it's like, okay, what she's talking about today doesn't apply to me, and that's fine. Like, when you're the operant power, you don't need to overthink every little thing every manifestation coach posts, because you're so dependent on what all the coaches say and all the teachers, and you're trying to apply all the knowledge at once, and it's just like confusing you and tying you into a knot, especially because a lot of coaches, as you know, say different things. People have different methods that they think they're teaching, or different things that work for them, and other coaches say that doesn't work. So again, as the operant power of your reality, you have to just decide, I just know it works for me, and I'm just going to keep it so simple and just lighthearted, and just keeping the focus on my joy, my feeling good in my day-to-day life. And then I'm also just going to lightly accept that my manifestation is done, and I'm going to consistently accept that it's done. And I'm not going to get tempted to go into overthinking, because there's so much information about manifestation out there, and I'm getting all caught up in all the information. I'm trying to apply all the information, even though a lot of it is conflicting. Just keep it simple. Just pick a practice that works for you, that makes you feel good, that feels like you can do it without like wearing out your mental health or making you feel crazy. But pick something that is your practice, that keeps you in the knowing of true knowing of wish fulfilled, and apply it every day. Keep a very light touch about reality. Be detached from who or what you're manifesting. Keep it simple. And then boom, it's probably going to work out sooner than you thought. Because again, like my client, 2 years of trying to do this, and then all of a sudden it was just so quick. Where like the moment she just kept it so simple and detached and just like, whatever, I'm just going to do this and just see what happens, and I kind of don't care anymore. It's like, boom, that's when it happens. Okay, I think this drives my message home for you today. I know this was helpful for you. Please let me know whatever thoughts or questions or whatever you have down in the comments below. That does help me to see, how am I landing on you guys? How is the information really being received, so that then I can adjust to try to help you to understand better. Or if you have specific questions, obviously too, I can try to address those in future videos. So let me know what you're thinking, and I will see you guys in my next video. All right, bye.